Good evening, directors. I hope you guys are having a great evening and that everything is going well. As you know, May's Kitchen/Restaurant is going through some very, very good times right now, as we've seen record numbers of people dining in our 150 locations over 30 states in the United States. However, over the recent decade, we've seen many different food trends come and go: rainbow foods, green foods, matcha foods, black charcoal, and multiple other different food trends. But something that has stayed stable over the last decade or so is more people are trying to incorporate seafood and fish into their diets, or just trying to get away from red meat in general, and sometimes even chicken and pork. So today, we definitely do believe that we want to add in more seafood options and into our menu, because as of right now, the primary source of protein on our menu come from steak, pork chops, chicken, ribs, and any other meat that can be considered red meat or poultry. But as there is a plethora of different seafood options that we could prepare in such a beautiful and delicious way for our customers, I do see it fitting that we do some customer research into figuring out if there are certain types of fish or crustaceans, shellfish, any other things like that we can add to the menu that will be eaten up in all 30 states across the country. So a specific outline. I definitely have some questions that I would love to answer for our surveys and other methods of information that we're going to get out to the public in order to make sure that we are not just throwing on random items onto the menu that people will not eat. So some questions that I would like to add to our specific guidelines are: first off, would you consider meat or seafood as your number one protein option when you go out for a nice meal? That is the first question I do believe is the most important, because as we know, a lot of people come for our meat and poultry and other options. Number two, would you like to add more seafood friendly options to your to the menu because of environmentally friendly, or just adding it instead because you prefer to add more fish since omega-3 fatty acids and many other different healthy vitamins are found in fish that are not found in meat? Third off, would you like to add less red meat to your diet in order to keep down your cholesterol and sodium levels, as red meat usually comes along with cardiovascular disease, as we've seen in recent studies, and that a surplus of red meat is not good for the body? Third off, along with these specific questions, I think that the most imperative ways that we're going to get the people to take these surveys is to do it right after the meal. When these people come into May's Kitchen, they enjoy their appetizer, their entree, and their dessert. And when they get the receipt, I want to make sure at the bottom that we have in bold letters that the people of May's can come and take a survey online. Just 4 or 5 quick questions. That's it. That's all it takes. They go into their phone, log into the May's app or online, whichever as a guest. They answer the 4 or 5 questions. Bang, done. Easy as can be. Another way of obtaining information for us would be to also by observation. We definitely need to communicate our market research ideas and options to all of the May's staff, for the reason that if there are diners, if there's chefs, and they see people eating in the restaurant, enjoying the seafood products or enjoying the meat products or enjoying certain products that are limited in certain areas, they need to communicate to us so we can relay it back to our research methods. First-person observation is one of the most perfect ways to make sure that we are getting what we need to make sure that we are putting not only salmon on the menu, but we can put shrimp, crab, sea bass, stripe, anything, any type of seafood that would be beneficial for the environment and also for pescatarians. So another method of research would be to do online surveys to existing loyalty members. As we know, May's has beautiful customer rewards cards, and if people are filling out surveys who have been to the restaurant, they've given us their email, they've signed up for our rewards program, and they have a card, we can email them to fill out a survey. 100%, they will fill out the survey if you hear this incentive. At May's, you know we have some of the best desserts in the entire world. We market those. Chocolate lava cake, brownie brittle, we have cheesecake, we have carrot cake, we have the best chocolate chip cookies, and we even have gelato on sale. I mean, come on, these are just beautiful options. So, since the people who come to our restaurant, they know they love it, if they fill out the May's survey online or after a meal or anything really, if they just fill out a survey, the 4 or 5 question survey, make it super easy, less than 10 minutes, get our quick research. If they fill out the survey either after a meal or online, they'll get 200 May's points on their card. And 200 Maze points, you'd say, oh, what does that equal? Well, 1,000 Maze points is about $10 back to their cart. So every 1,000 points, they get $10 for their meals. And then they can put it forward. And they keep coming. They can rack up to 2,000 points, 3,000 points, and enough money where they can make a meal. Along with this, another option that they can choose, instead of getting the 200 Maze points, if they're not signed up for their beautiful rewards record, we can make sure that they come back by offering a free dessert for every 2 surveys filled out. Because most of the people coming to Maze are families. And how are families going to do it? If you have 2 parents, hopefully you have 2 parents. If both parents filled out and even one of the kids, because everyone in the right mind has technology these days. So they have to fill out the survey. What kid doesn't want a brownie and a brownie a la mode for their next time? I mean, come on. It's just so delicious. So those are the specific guidelines for the customer research. The research for the participation for the people, for the customers, for the consumers, it should be less than 10 minutes. You don't want it to take up a lot of their time. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. You want to make it short and concise, make sure that it is right to the point and it answers their questions. They get it done. Along with this, we do not need to make sure that this survey is only asking about fish and meat. We want to make sure that we're asking other questions, as we are, obviously, we're looking to make sure that we are providing beautiful hospitality for the people. We can't just ask everything about fish, meat. Would you like salmon? Would you like more stripe? Would you like more sea bass? Do you want more filet mignon on the menu? Do you want dry aged steak? You can't just do that. We need to make sure that we are tailoring towards the hospitality needs that we need to provide to make sure the customers are beautifully happy. So we need to ask other questions like, how would you rate the service for your meal? How was your experience overall at the Maze establishment? Is there any recommendations that you would make for decor or just anything service-wise in general? So we need to make sure that we're asking other questions so we can optimize these opportunities we're using right now. If we're using the opportunity to create a survey, we need to make sure that we're optimizing by making sure that we're asking questions on how to better ourselves and make that Maze corporation and industry as best as it possibly can, because we want to expand from 30 states all the way to 50 states. We want to cover every single state in the country, the Southeast, the Midwest, the Northeast, everywhere, the West, the Northwest, any single region, we want to be in it. We want to be in every state, A through Z, period. Nothing else to say. And for that is just why we need to make sure that the specific guidelines for asking our research methods are proprietary and making sure that the customers are satisfied with their meals and satisfied with asking, do they want more fish on the menu? And if they're trying to get around their pescatarian needs and not only getting salmon every time, we can cater to them by asking these questions and seeing if they would prefer shrimp, or if they prefer something like sea bass, or if they prefer something like trout, or something local in the region that we can put specially on the menu. For the people at Maze working their tails off and contributing to our research purposes, such as waiters and chefs and managers, and their observations, we're obviously going to recognize them, especially if they're putting in extra time and effort. We're going to make sure that we're raising their wage if they contribute to this marketing research. Of course, they deserve it. They're working as hard as they possibly can, doing 3 jobs at once, it seems like. Along with this, analyzing trends in food and food habits and preferences is vital, because in our constant state of change in this century, in the 21st century, I mean, food can change from black charcoal ice cream to rainbow bagels in 2 seconds. We need to make sure that we're staying on top of it. People are turning more to vegans, to vegetarians, to pescatarians. We need to make sure that we are there so that when they come to our restaurant, we can tailor towards their needs so they're not going to a vegan restaurant down the street. Maze needs to be there. Along with this, obtaining our information efficiently is why we're keeping these surveys under 10 minutes and making sure that they're not buying up the time of customers too much and that they're concise, short, and sweet, and to the point. Along with this, just making sure that these methods that we use are efficient and making sure that for the hospitality and tourism business that we are in, we are a beautiful restaurant chain, we need to make sure that we are collecting these through in-person surveys, through online surveys, and through personal observation inside restaurants. And finally, info that we need to monitor for business decision making is just basically how are we going to make sure that we are keeping the company as good as possible and keeping it efficient and making sure that we are, as Maze restaurants in the entire nation are tailoring perfect needs to our Maze customers, and making sure that with this Maze customer rewards card that we are staying loyal to the loyalty program and to our customers, and in making sure they enjoy from the minute they walk in the door to the minute they walk out the door with their stomachs stuffed with beautiful, delicious, local, fresh food. And this is why the specific guidelines for making sure that we can implement other seafood into our menu, tailoring to all the needs of people in the 21st century, is why we are going to be one of the most successful chains for years.